Hey, welcome back to Sold Out Customs. This is Tom, and I'm going to share a little project I got going on. The Mustang here, we've been working on the cooling system on this guy, and just waiting for some parts to show up. I got to put a new radiator in it. I got to make some modifications to a shroud, or actually not even modifications to it. I just got to make a shroud to really help, direct the cooling capabilities of the mechanical fan. So we're going to take a break on that, waiting for some parts to arrive. And this is what we have. This is a quick performance 9-inch Ford rear end that we got for, let me put these brackets down, throw them on the ground. Anyway, this is for a 55 Chevy spread, the distance between the two leaf spring perches. And this thing is really nice. It's powder coated, has the drain plug on the bottom, has the fill port on it. It's got the 1/4-inch thick axle tubes and with bearing forward housing ends. Those are their axles there. 31 spline, 5 on 3, 4 3/4 bolt pattern, 1/2-inch wheel studs. Anyway, here's the third member. It finally showed up. They sent it in a 5-gallon bucket, like jammed in a 5-gallon bucket, which is pretty hilarious, I think. The good thing is it's powder coated to match the housing, as well as the, I guess this is powder coated too. It certainly looks powder coated, the yoke, which is cool. So what I'm going to do, I've got to put the studs, these studs here, they get pressed in. Let's see if I can get it to focus. Hey, focusy. You got to press these studs in to the housing itself. So I think what I'm going to do is I've got a, this is a 3/8 24 fine thread. And I have just a standard, because these are all lock nuts. So I got a standard nut here with a washer. So what I'm going to try to do is use the nut to, draw the stud into the housing. We'll see how that's going to work. But anyway, I'm super excited about this. Man, quick performance. Shout out to them. This stuff is really nice. It's a, let me check out the build sheet here real quick. Can't exactly remember what limited slip we have. Let's see. It is I'll find it here in a moment. Oh, it's a Yukon Pro in case with the aluminum Delta support bearing, which is cool. It's a aftermarket center section traction device, which is a 31 spline Eaton True Track, which is awesome. Has 350 gears in it. And anyway, yeah, pretty cool. I don't know. It looks really nice. Looks clean. The bucket thing was very strange. I've never seen a third member come in a cardboard box jammed into a Menards bucket. I didn't know what Menards is. I guess it's maybe a grocery store or something. I don't know. They're from like Iowa, so I don't know what's in Iowa. We don't have those stores in Florida. So anyway, let me see if I can set up the camera to show you what I'm going to do to get those studs pushed in. And I'll be right back. Okay, so came up with a little program here, see if it works. It's worked twice, okay. Third time's a charm, maybe. I'm gonna push it in like that. Got a flat washer. Got a little spacer. I got another flat washer. And what I did is I couldn't find any more 3/8 24 nuts that I had laying around the shop. So this is a nylock I had. So I just ground the nylock side off of it to make it a regular nut. So push it in. Snug it up a little bit. This housing likes to wiggle around quite a bit when I'm doing this. I am using a body stand, which is probably the wrong tool, but I'm gonna get it to draw in a little easier. Oh yeah, look at that. Drawing right in. I think it is. Feels like it is. The other two really fought me to go in, so maybe there's a little more powder coat in those holes or something like that. I'm not sure. It's definitely breaking the powder coat off the backside, so I have to be careful with that. Just kind of go till it stops. And it sets that stud, that knurled stud, into the housing. Pull this off. So the washer's off. Yeah, I mean, it galls up the powder coat pretty good. I'm gonna have to try to clean all that off and maybe just dab a little silicone around the ones that it's, each bowl hole, I guess. I did get a lube locker gasket, which is pretty cool. It's, I'm sure you guys know about them, but take a look at this guy. It's got like silicone on each side of it, and some sort of gasket, rubberized gasket material with a piece of metal on the inside, a really thin stamped sheet metal. So anyway, blue blocker. Reminds me of blue blocker sunglasses. I don't know why it sounds retarded, but anyway. So this will go on like that. Like I said, just because of those spots where the powder coat kind of screwed up a little bit, I'll just put a little silicone around each one of the actual studs. Not a ton, because this has a silicone, like I said before, but just additional insurance. This is pretty thin, which is also good, I'm sure. So anyway, just figured I'd show you how I'm going to do that, and we'll keep clicking along on this. Okay, so I transferred the rear axle housing down to some jack stands just because of the weight of this third member. I put just the thinnest of layer of silicone around all the bolts and some in the center between, just small, thin as can be. And I put the lube locker gasket on. So now, let's see if we can test out my steel toe shoes real quick. A bit stuckish. What's sticking here? So close. Don't want to hit it too hard. See if I can slide that under there real quick. Just catching. There it goes. More goes. Come on, little buddy. See if we get a little plastic mallet on it or something. Dead blow maybe. There we go. Pittsburgh plastic to the rescue, boys. Yay! Third member's on. Okay, so this rear end actually came with some double lip seals for the axles themselves. So I just lightly tapped that in with the old Pittsburgh dead blow, and I have a piece of solid stock that's almost the exact size of that seal. So it does have sealed bearings on the axles, so I don't know how much those seals are really going to make a difference. But they came with them, so we're going to put them in, right? Why not? Might as well. It's not going to hurt anything. So, all right, let me go ahead and get the other seal in and fire some axles in and see if what these brakes look like. Axles and brakes are on, dudes. So it's kind of hard to film that because, I kept kicking the camera, and anyway. So yeah, we went with drum brakes on this setup because that's what the car currently has on it, and it stops like a champ anyway. So we said, you know what, screw it. We'll just keep with the drums. Didn't have to change the master cylinder or the proportioning valve or any of that stuff. So this is just a street car. Never will see the track. It's got auto, overdrive transmission, stuff like that. So anyway, yeah, super happy with the quick performance parts so far. Everything went together really well. The powder coat is really nice, and I can't wait to get it in the car. I've got to finish up this Mustang first, and then that way I can free up shop space before I bring the car down. I just wanted to make sure everything is assembled fine here. See if I had any issues with the stuff from TIC, which obviously I don't. I mean, they've done a pretty stellar job. I'm going to paint the drums, that way they don't rust like crazy because they're just bare iron. And yeah, I just wanted you guys to take a look and see. We don't just do Mustang stuff around here. We do 55 Chevy stuff with a Mustang style 9-inch Ford in it. I don't know. I guess it is all kind of Mustang related somehow. Anyway, I'll get back to you as soon as I can when I get the car here. And we are finally getting a chance to put this rear axle that I've had laying on the shop floor for a couple weeks into this 55 Chevy. So this car has a Blueprint Engines 383 crate engine in it and a 700R4 transmission, and it still had the stock 1955 axle in the car, and you know, open diff. I think it had like 323 gears in it or something like that. And it just really wasn't up to the task. I mean, it wasn't breaking, or you know, it wasn't like it was a damaged or anything like that. It just one wheel peel and old technology. It just really wasn't worth trying to update what we had. So we decided to buy a quick performance Ford 9-inch complete rear end for a 55 or Tri-5 car, and it came out really cool. It took a little bit to get here. You know, they're struggling with help as well, but the unit came out really nice. And I've got it sitting on the springs. I had to do one thing it didn't come with, which is kind of frustrating considering you're going to need brake lines, obviously. It didn't come with any mounts or any way to, you know, connect the brake lines to the car. So what I was able to do was I was able to salvage the factory style bracket. Let me show you with the light here. Factory style bracket off the factory rear end, and this rear end's already powder coated, but I was able to just clean just a couple little spots to tack weld, to rosette weld that bracket back onto the rear end, and I just touched it up with a little bit of spray paint. And I also put the little clip up here on the top for the brake line to go over to the other side. These Tri-5s, the rear brake line actually goes down the passenger frame rail, which is kind of unique. So anyway, I've got like a spot weld drill bit, I guess you want to call it, spot weld remover. It looks like a regular drill bit, but it has almost like an end mill on the end of it design, and it cuts pretty good. I mean, they're not great. They work, you know, better than a drill bit, I guess. But so anyway, here's the factory rear end here. I was able to take, you know, drill those off, and I just used a chisel to just pry up the last little bits of it, and I stole that little piece from there for the top. But other than that, we're waiting for the paint to dry for the spring perch brackets for the U-bolts. And then what I'm going to try to do is fish the parking brake cables onto the new drum brakes, which we did get drum brakes for this car. I already had them on it originally, and the car stops fine. It's got, you know, the proportioning valve and the master cylinder and all that set up for drum brakes. So I just decided, heck with it, we'll stick with what we have. I had to get some different lug nuts actually, because the car was still 7/16 20 thread pitch on the lug nuts, and now it's half 20. So not a big deal, very simple. Was able to get them from a local parts store. So anyway, hopefully I can get this factory style cable into this aftermarket drum brake setup, which, I mean, it kind of lends itself like it may want to do that. I don't know. There's a hole in the back of the brake pad, well, not brake pad mounting bracket, whatever, the backing plate for the brakes. There you go, backing plate for the brakes. So hopefully I'll be able to jam that in there, and this cable length is correct. The parking brake doesn't work in the car at all anyway. I think that there's a cable that's broken further up the line, but I figure if I at least put the stuff back on the car the way it was, maybe I can address the other broken cable down the line, you know, up toward the front of the car more, and that way the guy can definitely have parking brakes as well. It's not a big deal. But once I get all this back together, get the car back on the ground, you know, I'll go over the car a little better. But I believe I may have done that in the previous video. The other issue I have, and it's not a major issue, is the drive shaft. So the car did have an aftermarket drive shaft put in it, which was done locally, I believe. It's really nice. But obviously the U-joint's not going to be a 1350, and I'm not totally sure the length is correct. It's tough to take a measurement from like the center line of the axle to where the U-joint is. You know, I guess I could do that and see if it's close to lengthwise, and if it is, maybe I can just get like a bastard style universal joint that has whatever this drive shaft is on the one end and then a 1350 on the other end, which I'm sure is possible to do. There's, you know, Moog or Striker, Slappy, I don't know, somebody, Spicer, yes. They make all kinds of U-joints and slip yokes and all that stuff, so maybe I can find something that'll work for that. Anyway, that's my next step, and if I can't, if the drive shaft length is incorrect or it won't work for this application, PST drive shafts is like 20 minutes from here, so I'll just have them whip up, you know, the drive shaft for this application. They just require some, you know, basic measurements. They're pretty good to deal with per se, but I need to get the car sitting on, you know, at ride height in order to get a proper measurement. So anyway, I just want to give you a quick update where I am with this car. I'm going to wait for some paint to dry, and then we're going to start slapping it back together.